everybody, and welcome back to the Bastards podcast that we do here on our YouTube show. Once again, in case you don't know who I am Nick. I am one of the hosts on the Bastards of Boston. We also have Brendan as well. Brendan is also joined with his buddy Pat. So we have a season preview show here before everything kicks off for Thursday night, 10 o'clock game. It'll be the Red Sox facing off against the Seattle Mariners. They start in the West Coast to begin the 2024 season. So for all of you fans back home who have suffered through this pitiful off season, you don't really have to worry about it because you can just go right to bed and not have to watch. So your pain, your suffering, just go to bed if you have no faith and you have no hope on this team. I'm not going to say I'm hopeless. The season hasn't began yet. I think we have some things to see, and there could be some surprises and everything. But first and foremost, again, I am Nick. That's Brendan. That's Pat. Gentlemen, how we doing?
We're fantastic. I'm happy to be back on Bastards. I was on one episode last year and starting off the season strong, back at it. So happy to be back. And you know what? I'm going to have a bold take. I'm excited to see this Red Sox team. I'm excited to see what they're capable of. And you know what? Expectations, I wouldn't say they're high, but it's a young team. It's a fun team. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I think the big thing that they have done, at least, is they've addressed defense. You're not trotting out Hernandez out there. You're not platooning second base with Arroyo, Reyes, and Valdez. Unfortunately, the Grissom injury is not that great, but Rafaela looks like a bright young defender. He looked pretty good at the end of the season last year. The bat was questionable, but he has improved over spring, I would say. The big damper right now that a lot of fans will feel is the Montgomery deal. 1 year, 25. We couldn't get that done. That one hurts.
Mm-hmm. I think I echo kind of the same statements that both Pat and Brendan said. I still am concerned on defense. I know that they've done a couple different things to get some players in who can catch the ball, field the ball, and everything. But my biggest concern actually with this team begins with the letter D, and that is durability. This team does not have much of a track record right now with the names of the assembled roster here of sustainability. We have a rotation of a bunch of guys who maybe shouldn't even be in the rotation, but that's just who we have. We also have some bullpen arms that are questionable, especially with your two thumpers that are there with Kenley Jansen and Chris Martin, who are both unknown. It looks like they're on the roster right now, but they're hurt. So they're older. They're not getting any younger, as I shall say. But that's another question mark that's there. But also on the durability side, I don't know about you guys. I have absolutely no expectation of what Trevor Story is going to put up this season. None. I'm not very pleased on what we've seen with the Chris Sale move, which was bringing in Grissom, who's now hurt. Isn't that shocking? We trade one injury-prone person for another injury guy that we have no idea what it's going to do. Mm-hmm. Rafael Devers is not a third baseman anymore, folks. I'm just going to put it out there right now. He's not. He's getting older. Not like he's ancient history or anything, but that's a DH. And now you have to put Yoshida as your DH, who shouldn't even be a DH. You have an outfield that has a lot of questions too. Jarren Duran was hurt, about a month. You really didn't see him the last month of the season. So with the toe injury, is he going to put up numbers like he did at least the early beginnings of the season? We hope. Mm-hmm. We hope. There's a lot of hope right now. On paper, I think they're better than they're not a trash team by any means. But I got to tell you guys, this is still a last place team for me right now. And it's going to take a lot of convincing and a lot of winning, especially early on here in the season to change my opinion of a team that did pretty much nothing this offseason, who has an ownership group who doesn't give a crap of their team, and a manager who has no contract going into a contract season with this team. So I'm not trying to say the sky's falling. I'm not trying to say any of that. I'm excited for baseball, of course. I'm a baseball guy. I love the Red Sox. But I'm not happy with what we've seen here, especially in recent years. That's just my take. I'll turn it over to you guys.
You got it.
All right. No, I agree. I think based off of the way the season ended last year, where there was no one was happy. The players weren't happy. The management. I mean, Heim Bloom's gone. I still don't think everyone's happy. Even with the preseason press conferences, no one seemed happy. But I think, like you said, there's a lot to prove this year. There's the fact that, like you said, Trevor Story can play. I think Trevor Story's got a lot to prove, especially with the leadership role he has come up with in the offseason. I mean, with everyone leaving and everything going on, Trevor Story seems to be the guy trying to turn this team around. But even in other things, people are saying, what do we play for, that kind of stuff. But I think at the same time, I think it's kind of the underdog story. We've seen it before. We've seen it in previous years where,
I like that.
everyone's turning around and looking at this team going, oh, they're not going to do anything. They're terrible like they were going to be at this end of the season last year, which is a fair point. It very well could happen. But, I'm usually the delusional one who is always optimistic. And, I think all these guys with something to prove, whether it be on the Red Sox or looking for their next contract or things along those lines. You can look at Jared Duran in the outfield. He was taken off the team and brought down to the minors because of how poorly he was playing in the outfield. Now he has the opportunity to get back out there and show to the team he's got something to prove. Devers, he probably didn't really have a great season last year either. I mean, he's still Devers.
For his standards, yeah.
Exactly. And so I think he's got something to prove, saying, you know what, I'm still that guy. I still have a reason to lead this team. I'm going to be the leader of this team going forward. So I think this year for this Red Sox team, with the cards they're dealt with management and not wanting to pay anybody and blah, 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 you name it, I think this team – this season is kind of, if I was the manager saying, hey, let's play for something in this team, I think the thing you're playing for is, hey, we're a good team. We're good players. We might not be the best stars in the league. We might not have the best numbers in the league, but you know what? We're going to play our game. We're going to play it the best we can, and we're going to prove we're a solid team. We've seen it before. And hopefully with the Red Sox mentality, we'll see it again. But that's just me being overly optimistic. So we'll see.
Play with a chip. Play in a way with a chip on your shoulder.
Exactly.
I like that. Exactly. I like that. I only hope that that's the mentality that they use going into the season. Brendan.
I think they're going to need it. They lost Justin Turner. That was a big loss in my eyes.
I agree.
Locker room guy and a glue guy and a utility fielder, right-handed bat.
Your most consistent player last year was Justin Turner. You removed that piece, folks, to your team and your lineup.
So not only is Justin Turner out the door, but all of a sudden Juan Soto is down the street, and then Corbin Burns is just south. So I think the East got a lot better. You're going to have to play with a chip and a half. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough year for them. Garrett Whitlock and Tanner Houck, it's make it or break it. I've seen enough of Garrett Whitlock as it is, as the starting guy on the bump, but they believe in Andrew Bailey, Breslow. He says he can fix it. I'll believe it when I see it. Tanner Houck, he's been in the system for 7 years. He's yet to figure it out. It's time for those guys. They need to show that they're starting caliber, or else we got to ship him off, figure something out. When it comes to Jaron Duran, they held on to him when they could have made the Lesko deal, which was a big thing that was happening with San Diego. Just like Richard Fitz and Verdugo, you go get another pitching prospect. They held on to Jaron Duran. It's put up or shut up this season for him. He needs to be a leadoff batter for the Sox that is in scoring position and setting up Devers and Costas to do serious damage for the Red Sox.
Where are you guys at with Tristan Casas front? I'm seeing that the lineup's already coming out for later today, and it looks like they're going to put him into the cleanup spot and everything right there. Where are you guys at with him?
High
Leave
end,
it there.
he is an all-star and a triple crown threat. Low end, he is just like how he looked in the first half last season. He was on a tear post all-star break, but in the beginning, it looked terrible. All it took was a lot of adjustment from batting stance. He had a quicker swing, and he's got a lot of power. He has bulked up. He's a strong player. I think the defense is the big thing with him.
Pat, any thoughts on him?
You know, with Tristan Casas, it's interesting, and it's the same with a lot of rookies. Well, not rookies, but younger players out there, where you're looking at them and you're looking at, you know, progressment in their game and things along those lines. And I think with Casas, I think with how he's progressed and what he's shown in the offseason, with like what Brendan said, him getting bigger, him getting stronger, I think he's showing that he is willing to put in the work and, you know,
make the adjustments.
Exactly.
The proper adjustments.
At the big time level. And with them putting him in the cleanup spot, I think that kind of shows that the team kind of believes in him a little bit. I mean, I know it's not a glorious position, but I think it kind of shows the team kind of believes he put in the right work. That's the key. I mean, you can lift weights all you want, but if you're not hitting the batting cage, it doesn't really matter.
Tell that to Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it seems like
it's a results business.
Yeah, exactly. If
you can be as jacked as you want, but you got to show it on the field.
It's hard to hit a ball. It really, especially at that level.
But don't have to tell me that twice.
But I think that being, again, back to the overly optimistic, I think, you know, I think this is his year to prove I'm another star guy that can make his outbreak on this team, and I think that he can prove he's legit. I mean, he's kind of a nut. We all know that. But, I mean, I think this is his year that he shows I'm more than just a nut. I'm a good baseball player.
Next question that I had, wins, losses, all that fun total. First off, I want you to tell me how many wins you think the team is going to have. Secondly, I want you to tell me if you think they'll be in the playoffs. And we'll go from there. Let's go to Brendan first. There's your win total at. I see a laugh.
I want to start half full. Their ceiling, when everything goes right, is 85. Their ceiling. That's not my. Their ceiling, they could take 85 if everything goes right. But a wise man once said, his name is Anthony Maserati, that the more ifs you have, losses you can tally. I plus F equals L for all you algorithm phenoms. The Boston Red Sox will win 78 wins. They'll get 78 games. They will win 78 games this year. I think that's giving them a little bit because I think they've improved slightly. But I think it's 78 barring health. They could lose
no playoff.
No playoffs. No playoffs.
No wild card.
The East is a lot better, I think.
Okay.
Kansas City improved as well. They'll take a wild card. Seattle's gonna be in there.
Kansas City as a wild card choice. That's a bold take. I like it. Yeah.
And then of course it's Texas baseball right now. Texas runs the show. They're amazing. Okay. Texas and Houston.
Even though we just beat them twice in the preseason, but it's preseason.
It is preseason.
Pat, same thing. Win total, and is this a playoff team?
Yeah, my win total is right around the same point as him. I mean, I think it's between 75 and 85. I don't think you're going to get much lower or much higher. Excuse me, or higher than that. I don't expect this team to be all of a sudden spectacular, but where I do differ, I know there's a lot of other really good teams out there, but there's a chance if what I was saying earlier, where we turn around and say we're a prove-it team, come, October before that, when we're starting to race for the playoffs. Well, October is playoffs, but you know what I mean. I think that this team might be able to pull for a wild card spot. We're not going to be locked into the playoffs by any means. We are going to be scratching at the bottom of that playoff card. But I think there's a chance. I'm not hopeful, but there's a chance that this team might be driven into a wild card spot. I know there's a lot of other really good teams out there, but you got to bank. I mean, look, the team isn't perfect, but you got to bank on the fact that injuries happen. That's a thing. And there's a chance. It's not high, but there's a chance.
Meaningful baseball in September. That's all I'm asking for. That they're in the conversation for the third spot.
Mm-hmm.
By September last year, they were out of it.
Yep.
They were not even close. They were 8 games out. So they failed me last year.
Well, it's because they gave up.
I am at, for my total, 72.
Yeah, we're a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
I am not looking. I am. I don't want to say pessimistic. I just feel like 72 is a number right now that I think is a comfort for me to put things at. I can't put this team higher than the Rays, the Blue Jays, the Yankees, or who, in my opinion, will be your AL East champs will be the Orioles. I think the Orioles will come out and be number one for the division. Every one of those teams got better this offseason, and you did not. You have a lot of prove it sort of mentality on this team. And until otherwise seen, this is where I'm comfortable with being. You've heard me many times on our shows that we have done. Prove it. Show me. I'll gladly eat crow. I will gladly be wrong. So if you want to use little old me over here as your example of the guy in the bulletin board room that says this nitwit says we're going to be last place and has 72 wins, and you want to throw darts at my nose and eyes and anything, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
All right, Red Sox, put Nick's face
right there
on that dartboard.
Right there.
Prove him wrong,
as long as it doesn't have a D on it, I'm fine with that. Go right ahead. Last but not least, we usually like to keep our shows to 10, but because this is our preview of the season show, it's a little bit different. So for anybody out there that gets mad about why this is continuing, shut up. Next.
Let him hear it.
I want to do a stud dud. I want you to tell me one player on this team that you feel is going to be the stud of the year. And then I want you to tell me who is the dud who is going to get thrown to the next planet called Planet Zippy. Go right ahead. Stud Brendan. And you can't name yourself.
Okay. It has to be.
Sorry.
All right. I like Cedane Rafaela as stud, outbreak stud. It's all about the bat with him. If he can work his way up to the top of the lineup instead of batting ninth, I think that would be amazing. And I love the defense. That's the biggest thing that lost my mind last year. Dud of the year. You know, it's always a candidate between like McGuire and Wong or one of the pitchers. Dud of the year. I'll go Reese McGuire. He's tough to watch. Bat's a little better than Wong, but at least Wong makes up for it.
Well, I think on my point, I'm gonna start with Dud because we have the same Dud. I'm gonna say McGuire again. I've never liked him. I just think he's average at best. I actually like Wong. I think he's a good player.
The bat just sucks.
The bat's terrible, but he's a great pitcher or catcher. Excuse me.
Yeah, he's a good defender.
But at the same time, McGuire I think is just terrible. So he's gonna be my dud.
Yeah, he's painfully average.
Yeah. My stud's actually gonna be. We talked about him earlier. I think Tristan Casas. I think this is his year.
It's a good take.
I think Tristan Casas is gonna show everybody that he's a legit MLB player, and then he's going to stick around for a while. And unfortunately, the Red Sox are going to have to pay him more money. And I say unfortunately because they're going to not want to.
Too bad, John Henry. Too bad.
Cough it up.
Go sell the Penguins, you cheapskate.
Bruins fans are coming after you at the next
winter weekend.
Winter weekend at Fenway.
Frozen Fenway.
That's what it is.
I want to ask you quickly, Brendan, back to your take on Rafaela. Does that mean that Rafaela is going to be in contention for Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, he's a sleeper candidate. He's not on the top 10 board for the rookies. Glass half full. He's right up there with them. He has to bat about like 220 to sort of be up with them because the defense is legit, but the bat can be questionable. He can hit it hard, but he's inconsistent. he's got to get his average up. That's my take.
I'm not sure if Tristan Casas can still qualify for Rookie of the Year. I think that it would have been last year. So that's why with this whole thing for Rafaela, it could be in contention for that special award.
Yep.
For me, I'm going to go stud. I hate to steal people's answers on it, but I am going on the Brendan train here. I do like Rafaela quite a bit. I think this guy has something special, and he shows me a spark and at least somebody that I can be excited for and see a promising future with. Defense looks great. I think this guy has a lot of tools when it comes to the running, the fielding, the hitting, speed, all this sort of stuff that could make him, in a way, kind of like a Mookie Betts type if everything goes right with it. That 5-tool kind of player that you really hope for. So that's where I'm at. I definitely, we need to see that before we start crowning him the next Mookie Betts. I hate these comparisons that we ever do. Brendan knows a lot of how I roll with that. So you need to start from the bottom and then get to the top to start calling out, oh yeah, that guy reminds me of Mookie. Oh, this guy reminds me of Ronald Acuna Jr. Like, no, let the guys develop and then get to that point. The dud for me is Yoshida. Here's the thing. I wanted him traded this offseason. There's nothing personal on it, but this guy, to me, does not look like he has the makeup to be an everyday MLB player. What scares me a lot with him is fatigue. You already saw a season in where he had a hard time adjusting to what Major League Baseball was like, with having to take days off and be streaky. And I think we kind of got a chance to see who this guy is going to be. He's okay, but that's not a designated hitter. That doesn't move the needle for me. I need more. I need more of an expectation here. So I'm not too high on him. Maybe he stays a little bit healthier and he's able to have a better season in a DH sort of role, but that's just not a DH to me. I'm sorry. That should be Rafi Devers. You should have thought about what you wanted to do with third base and figure out that, because I think I am not comfortable with Rafi Devers at third base anymore. I am not. I'm going to go right out on the spotlight here and say it. It is not going to be another pretty season at third base. The guy is erratic at third base. That is the vocabulary word of the day. Erratic. He can make the dumbest play in the world where he looks like he belongs at the Barnum and Bailey circus. Then he can come up and he can look like he's the best Gold Glover in the league. There's no consistency with him.
He lacks focus.
I think the focus, if he just focused on hitting, this guy could be a stud. But because there's the emphasis of the fielding component, I think mentally he is just a frazzled mess. That's the best way of describing him. And I think that's going to be one of the things that holds the guy back from maybe even being a Hall of Famer or an all-star, or not only an all-star, but like an MVP type. He's an all-star. He hits the ball and everything. But that's just kind of where I'm at with the Devers front. Any final takes? Any final thoughts before we get rolling here for 2024?
Yeah, I mean, good luck to the team. I'm always rooting for the players. I'm always rooting for a good season. I want to be competitive in September. I want competitive baseball that means something. The bar isn't that high. I know the East is very stacked. I know the American League got better as a whole. The bar isn't that high. I just want to be in the conversation. It might be too much to ask, but I'm still going to ask it. Try to be in the wild card. Be about 2 games out of it.
Yep. I'm right there with them. Same thing. Just prove everybody wrong. I think that's the key to this season. Make a point, put Nick's face in the dartboard, throw some darts every game, prove everybody wrong.
And playoff.
Make the playoffs, look like a good team, give Boston baseball fans some hope.
I like it.
Right now, there ain't much.
Hopeless. Good luck, Red Sox, for 2024. We'll be previewing next the matchup between Bayo and Luis Castillo for opening day 2024.